Welcome to the HR Uprising podcast. This highly practical podcast series explores HR and management hot topics and challenges through conversations with relevant experts and real-life people professionals. Brought to you by Actus software, our aim is to build a better workplace for people. The HR Uprising is about collaborating and supporting each other to build the confidence and skills to rise up to each challenge and deliver real, lasting business value. You can find out more at hruprising.com or join our LinkedIn community. Now introducing your host, chartered psychologist, best-selling author, entrepreneur and speaker, Lucinda.
Hello and welcome to this week's HR Uprising podcast. I'm delighted that we've got a masterclass this week on the subject of apprenticeships, and I'm really pleased to welcome Natasia Hieber, who is going to take us through all the things, well, I certainly didn't know about apprenticeships. You're very heavily involved in it, to help us identify how we can make the most of them for our organisations, but also with a specific HR hat on, how I know there's many people out there often saying about how they can develop their HR career, how maybe there's a way of accessing those in terms of furthering your HR career as well. So Natasia, thank you so much for joining the HR Uprising podcast. Welcome.
Thank you for having me today, Lucinda. Really happy to join you.
It's a pleasure. Would you like to just explain a little bit about your background and your business?
So my background is within HR. So I've been working within HR for the past 15 years. I started in recruitment and then I moved working within a HR generalist position. And then I had a lovely mentor, and I must mention her name, Muriel Secker, who mentored me whilst doing my master's in HR. And she gave me my first opportunity to work on the CIPD programs. And there I expanded my knowledge of the CIPD programs. So I've been working with the CIPD now since 2009. And now I'm working on apprenticeship programs, delivering the apprenticeship program through first and foremost Interserve Learning and Employment, and previously at Barking and Dagenham College and Barnet and Southgate College.
So you started, so that's great. So you've got your own business, haven't you, called wearehr.com, and we'll put all your links in here later. There's lots of things we might refer to, which have got useful links that we'll put in the show notes you can get to at hruprising.com, look up this episode. But just help me understand, because I really have to admit I know very little about apprenticeships other than having heard about the apprenticeship levy a few years ago. So when you were working with CIPD, is the apprenticeship, is that separate or part of the apprenticeship role that you take on?
The CIPD is part of the apprenticeship program, and it's 2 qualifications in one. So you follow the CIPD qualification, and alongside that you do an apprenticeship qualification. So it's 2 in 1. Okay,
so you get a CIPD qualified while sort of on the job apprenticeship in HR.
That's right, yes. So it's a bit of a double workload for those people that do go onto it, but actually it's really rewarding.
And you're getting the experience, of course, to be able to write about, because half the thing is being able to actually get the real experience, I imagine.
Yes. I mean, a lot of the students who are on the apprenticeship program are really happy because they're able to evidence a lot of their skills and behaviours that they're acquiring through the knowledge of the CIPD through their workplace. And this is exactly what employers are looking for. They're looking for the knowledge that you're learning within a program of study and to use that within your workplace. And this is wonderful. This is why I really love working on apprenticeships.
Yeah, so if someone went through it, so is that when you're saying you're a CIPD assessor, do you assess the apprenticeship or the CIPD or a bit of both, or how do they fit together for the role that you play?
So I have been assessing on the CIPD program for many years, and I've worked for organisations such as ICS Learn and Acacia Learn, and there I've done lots of CIPD assessment where I'm verifying and marking and delivering the content. For the apprenticeship part, I'm also marking and I'm verifying and I'm assessing through observations and through evidence-based learning and professional discussions. And this is why it's much more practical, because it's more on the job. And we're acquiring these skills and knowledge whilst working on the job. And that's basically why it's work-based learning.
Yeah. So you're obviously passionate about it. How did you get into it in the first place?
I think, as I mentioned, I fell into this the CIPD element through my mentor, and then an opportunity arose from Barking and Dagenham College to work more on the apprenticeship side, and then my passion arose really when I was actually doing lots of the visits with the apprentices, and I actually really enjoy talking about what they're doing within the organisation and applying this wonderful knowledge from the CIPD to the organisation. And I actually got to see it all fall into place. And that's why I'm so passionate about it, because I do feel that you learn so much about HR and you're not actually able to apply it to the organization. And on the apprenticeship program, you actually have to apply it on the program because you're being assessed on the evidence of you applying it to the organization, which I think it's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're getting the best of both worlds, really, aren't you?
Yes,
I guess
you
in
are.
terms of that. So if in terms of, I guess if it's an organisation, obviously you can do lots of apprenticeships, but we're thinking particularly about HR apprenticeships here. So if an organisation thought, well, we could actually do with an HR apprentice, can they just do that, or how would they go about doing that?
An organisation would need to register with the Skills Funding Agency,
right?
And there they would discuss about possibly applying for an apprenticeship program within the organisation. And oftentimes, your organisation has to be a sizeable organisation to actually get the funding from the government to have apprentices. Yeah. So
to be able to give people the breadth of experience, yes. I'm imagining, right?
That's right, yes. So it normally has to be an organisation that has 50 and above employees.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily an SME type thing. But if they have that, do they have to sort of scope out this, when you bring that apprentice in, do they have to, I don't know, scope out secondments or structure it, or do they get help in that kind of way, or is that something they have to work out?
I think a lot of organizations have to work it out themselves. Normally they have somebody who's in the L&D department who is able to research various apprenticeship providers for the particular area of interest and the area that they feel that they need an apprenticee within. So this would be the first stage. And then once they have found a provider, they would discuss with the provider a bit about the program and also the number of attendees that they feel that they would like to put onto the program, and also the time and the length of the program, whether this would work with the organisation. Yeah.
And is there a sort of a minimum length, or?
It depends on which apprentice you decide to go for in the HR apprentice schemes. The level 3 program lasts roughly 18 months, and the level 5 program also lasts roughly 18 months. But I do know some apprentices that have been able to fast track and complete a bit earlier, because if they're able to go through the modules faster, they're able to complete earlier. Yeah.
And how do they get paid, or what proportion is funded and what proportion does the business pay then?
For apprentices, I understand that the government is paying up to 80% for apprentices, and 20% is paid to the organisation, and by the organisation, and the government is actually able to pay this 20% because they get this tax reduction. The organisation gets a tax reduction.
Oh, sorry, say that again. Did you say the government pays 80 or 20?
The government pays 80% and the organisation pays 20%.
But they get it back through tax, in theory, you're saying?
Yes.
So you're basically getting
yeah.
free talent to develop. Yes. You could create a place in your organisation, you're getting funded talent. And that's really an interesting point at the moment, isn't it? When there are so many people out there struggling for roles, there's so much talent actually out there in the marketplace. If there's a listener listening, actually, maybe this is a great time to create, funded roles in your organisation. So to get people in to help your organisation grow and re-establish itself and bring people back to work, but get that funded.
Yeah, it is. It's a great way. It's an absolutely amazing way for an organisation to grow and to really develop new talent into the business, and not to have it really shown on the balance sheet. And this is one of the reasons why I really try to promote apprenticeships, because I really believe in getting the younger generation onto programs, and also for them to gain experience while earning money. Yeah.
I mean, that's a very valid point. So is there a sort of recommended age for an apprentice then? It tends to be younger people or not?
No, it doesn't actually, Lucinda, because apparently a lot of the apprentices that I'm currently working with, they've been with the organisation for a period of time, and the organisation just feels that they could actually do some development and growth within the area that they are currently working with. And some of them actually want to do the program because it's a recognisable qualification, and they have never had the qualification against their name. And others want to do the program because they want to actually understand a lot of the knowledge behind the work that they're currently doing. So theories and models behind, for example, project management theories, or for example, conflict management theories. We all talk about this in HR. Yeah.
So are we saying, and I don't know, I might be jumping the gun here. So are you saying that actually, if you are an HR professional in an organisation and you want them to fund you through your CIPD, that if you could apply, if you could convince them to let you apply for an apprenticeship, to be registered for an apprenticeship with the government, they could get funding for you to do that, and actually funding for the role? So you could be an existing employee and you could get your role funded for a 12 or 18 month period from the government if you went through that qualification. Is that
yes, you can. Yes.
Well, I'm amazed that more people haven't been shouting about this. It sounds like a missed opportunity, because there's loads of people and loads of listeners I know out there that probably would really love to get the opportunity to get put through their CIPD, but wouldn't necessarily, their business might not be able to fund it, but this would actually be able to do it. I guess there might be up to a maximum funding. I guess someone could be earning more than
Yes, I think that I'm not too sure exactly what the calculations are, but there is definitely a cap on what the government will fund, and also what the person is currently earning. Yes, there is definitely a cap. But I mean, it's a good way for organisations to benefit in the long term. It definitely is. And apprenticeships have been going around now for quite some time, and they are really very popular amongst a number of organisations. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, again, sticking with our HR one, did you say there's more than what? There's a level 3 and a level 5 HR qualification, the CIPD qualification, that correct?
Yes.
And are there any other aspects? Do you have like a learning and development? Are there any other aspects of sort of people development apprenticeships, or is it pure HR?
No, actually, there's a level 3 in HR, and there's a level 5 in HR, as well as a level 3 in L&D, and a level 5 in L&D as well.
Right.
As yet, we haven't introduced a level 7, and let's see. Watch this space. Maybe this is something that comes about next year. Who knows?
Yeah.
But at the moment, level 5 and level 3, and they're really very popular.
Yeah, I can understand why. So if someone wants to apply, so the other way around, that we were talking there, if you were in an organisation, you wanted to get qualified. If I'm listening to this and I'm not working at the moment, but I'd like to apply for an HR apprenticeship, what would I need to do then?
If you'd like to apply for a HR apprenticeship and you're working for an organisation, you could speak to the L&D manager, and then the L&D manager would research from the government.co.uk website about applications for companies if they would like to apply, or they can go along the skills funding agency route to see if they can apply that way. That would be one step for the organisation. If you are not working for an organisation and you're really interested in doing an apprenticeship, you could go onto the gov.co.uk website, and there is a function to find an apprenticeship, and then it actually links you to apprenticeships within your area, and you could actually do a search on apprenticeships currently in your area.
Right. Okay. So you can actually, that was gov.co.uk, was it?
Gov.co.uk, yes.
So you can go and Google that, and you might find apprenticeship opportunities there, which sounds great.
Perfect. And there's also there's also find an apprenticeship as well. There's www.findapprenticeshipservice.gov.uk, and there is also careerfinder.ucas.com, and if you put in the search field apprenticeships, it comes up with lots of apprenticeships there. And then there's also www.getmyfirstjob.co.uk.
This is so relevant for people. So all of those links, don't worry guys, we will put in the show notes, so you can go to hruprising.com, look up this episode, it'll be the top of the page, and we'll put all the links there for anyone who wants to follow these. So that's really exciting. So both for sort of, school leavers, university leavers, where it's been a really difficult time for people, and also other people looking for roles, this is something that a good way in potentially, and to get a qualification. Just going back, maybe stepping away from that, from your skills then. So
Mhm.
how does it work if you're an endpoint assessor? Have you got any tips for people if they are going through an apprenticeship at the moment and they're getting assessed? Anything that you've learned or guidance that you would have for people as to how to get the most out of it or how to make sure they pass? What sort of guidance have you got there?
I think my first guidance is really looking at the standards and components of the apprenticeship program, because we always try to assess on the knowledge, skills, and behaviours. And it's actually looking at these components that you feel that you have developed on the program and being able to evidence these through a professional discussion of a scenario or a professional discussion around a project that you've worked on. And that would be my first point that I would raise if you were looking at getting to endpoint assessment on an apprenticeship program. And the other point I would raise would be thinking about having a very good consultative project, because these are the two assessment points. And a consultative project would be something that you're working on within your organization and you do a project on this, and it would look into a business issue or raise a business case where you think an improvement can be made within the organization. And this project, again, you would think about how can you make sure that you're evidencing all of the knowledge and skills that you need to in order to pass the program. Yeah.
So it's understand the syllabus well, and then work those real examples that you can bring it to life, and that. And in some of that assessment, how much of it is through discussion, professional discussion, and how much of the assessment is through written submission?
At the moment, we're doing 20% of professional discussion and 80% of the written consultancy project in terms of the split. And that's why towards the end, when you have the marking, you can't pass unless you pass both elements. Yeah.
Got you. Great. Well, so and what else should we know about this? I'm not sure. I think that was so informative and pretty concise for one of our HR Uprising conversations. Is there anything else that we don't know or should know that I haven't thought to ask about in terms of apprenticeships?
I think for me, it's really about making people aware that the positives that you can have from an apprenticeship, and also shine away from the point that apprentices tend to be only school leavers, because a lot of the apprentices that I have on my program are not school leavers. A lot of them have been working in the organisation for quite a while, and they have now been put up for an apprenticeship because the organisation feels that they would like to invest in them, and they would also like to increase their knowledge on the area that they're currently working within, in terms of having maybe innovative or more better creative ideas to make improvements. And this is what happens on an apprenticeship program. You learn new things and you actually think, well, we're always doing this, and maybe we can do something differently. And the apprenticeship brings this creativity out. So I think from an employer's point of view, it's actually looking at apprentices as positive to their organisation, and an innovative to the organisation as well, because they come in with their ideas and they're able to make these great changes, and this is often coming about after being on an apprenticeship program.
So you're saying there's been really quite a business impact for people then? So yeah, it works, is what you're saying from an employer point of view. It's
really
not just the individual.
Work.
People are actually doing,
yes.
They're applying the stuff. It's always nice to know that actually all these things that we teach people in theory actually make a difference back in the workplace, isn't it?
Yeah, it really does. It does work, Lucinda. And then the positive again is that you actually you get to see this growth in the individual. So when I'm speaking with line managers and I'm working with them alongside their apprentice, you really get the understanding and the feel that they have seen a growth in this person in terms of the knowledge and in terms of, their progression in their job and an improvement in their capability and their performance. So this all has a wonderful link. And it's so refreshing when I'm working with the line managers and I'm hearing how well that the apprentice is doing and how they're applying what they're learning on the program to the organisation. This really makes me feel that I'm doing a job well done.
Makes you feel like you're making a difference to everybody, aren't you?
Yeah, it really does. Yes.
What's not to like about it?
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Natasia, because I didn't know any of that. It's interesting. There's something about the term apprenticeship. I don't know, it's because I'm the age I am, that we kind of link it with like YTSs or something, so people don't really understand it as a term to be used for something much more sophisticated, I guess, and for doesn't necessarily matter what the age is. It's about the development for the individual and putting something back into the organisation. And what's not to like if the government are going to support that organisation in developing people and raising the skills within there of the person and benefiting the organisation. Sounds like a fantastic win-win.
Yeah, it's a win-win everywhere with the apprenticeships. It really is. And I feel so happy that I'm working on apprenticeships because I really enjoy seeing the growth and development of all my apprentices. And sometimes when they move on from level 3 to level 5, and you really see them actually get a promotion at work, you really feel happy
that really chuffed.
This promotion was due to you completing your apprenticeship and actually really progressing and with the workplace, and performance has improved, capability has improved, and it's well deserved. Yeah,
that's great. So just on that then, just finishing off, do you've obviously got your own business, but you are an assessor in that. Do you ever help if an organisation was looking to try and establish an apprenticeship, or is that something that you do, or would you recommend people to help with that if they didn't feel able to do it themselves?
And what I normally do is I would recommend anybody looking for an apprentice program, and I could refer them on to companies that are doing apprenticeship schemes, and I could also refer them on to providers that are actually running the apprenticeship scheme, because not all providers do the HR apprenticeship, and there's only a few providers that do it, and not all of them do it alongside the CIPD program, and that's really relevant as well, because if you're going to get the HR apprenticeship program, you want to have the CIPD qualification alongside it, because that's credibility for HR professionals.
Right. Yes, of course it is.
So people come to me for so you come to me for advice, and I would provide them with guidance.
That's great. Yeah. So if they wanted to come to you, do you want to tell, for the benefit of the audience, do you want to tell people how they can get hold of you if they want to?
So there's 2 ways to get hold of me. For the apprenticeship programs, I'm currently working with Interserve, and so my email address is natasia.hieber@interserve.com. And if it's more HR and it's consulting work and it's really understanding a bit about the apprenticeship schemes or anything along those lines, or even on the recruitment side, because I've been helping out a lot of apprentices with their CVs and helping them, apply for potential positions, it will be my HR website, which is natasia@we-r-hr.com.
Brilliant, and we'll put those in the show notes as well. Perfect. Are you active on any social media? Are you LinkedIn or Twitter?
I'm active on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. I'm active. I don't have a Twitter account at the moment, Lucinda. I can't keep up with that with my kids.
Don't get them started on TikTok. My daughter gave me a TikTok link the other day. I had to delete it. I was like, that's 15 minutes of my life I'm never going to get back.
I have a ban on any kind of iPads at the moment now since the holidays and lockdown, because it just becomes too addictive. So I try not to use my phone too much, because I think that if you're not setting that example, they always want it if they see you have it. So I try not to be on it too much. Yeah. So it's only LinkedIn for me.
Yeah, I'm sure that's fine for everybody. Well, that's wonderful. I think this has been a really concise, but really hopefully quality content packed podcast. So Natasia, thank you so much for coming on the HR Uprising podcast.
Thank you, Lucinda, for having me. I really love your podcasts.
Oh, thank you so much.
I really do. I listen to them. I'm an avid listener when I have my 35 minutes of cycling in my basement.
Yeah. It is quite good if you've got podcasts you want to listen to. I do the same, obviously not to my own, but if I'm walking the dogs and stuff like that, because I know if I've been lazy, because I've got a backlog of things to listen to. So it's always good to do, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, thanks so much for joining.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the HR Uprising, proudly brought to you by Actus Software, the joined-up performance and talent management solution. You can access links to any of the information or resources mentioned in the show via the podcast page at www.hruprising.com. If you like what we do, please subscribe, tell your colleagues, and leave a review. Thank you for listening to the HR Uprising.